Good morning and welcome to day 5 of Chem 1 remote learning. I have included a Tyler DeWitt video for you guys. If for some reason that link's not working, just shoot me an email or put a public comment, and I will be happy to make sure that link works for you. All right, so multiplying using scientific notation. If the numbers are simple, we can do this in our head. If the numbers are more complicated, obviously you guys can use your calculator. All right, so rules are pretty simple. Step 1, we are going to multiply the coefficients. And remember, coefficients come before the power of 10. So 2 times 4 is 8. Simple enough. Great. All right, step 2 for multiplication. We are going to add the exponents. So in this case, we have exponent 3 and exponent 4. 3 plus 4 is exponent 7. So 2 times 10 to the third multiplied by 4 times 10 to the fourth is equal to 8 times 10 to the seventh. Don't worry about those zeros after the decimal. We'll talk a little bit about those in a later unit. All right, so what do we do if there is no coefficient? I guess we could just assume that there is a 1. We could assume that this is 1 times 10 to the third. We could assume that this is 1 times 10 to the fourth. Regardless, 1 times 1 is 1. So when we're multiplying these coefficients, 1 times 1 is 1. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the coefficients. Add the exponents. So 3 plus 4 is 7. So we could call it 1 times 10 to the 7th, or we could just call it 10 to the 7th, both of which are our final answer. They're numerically the same. All right, next problem. Step 1, we're going to multiply the coefficients. 7 times 7 is 49. Okay? Then we're going to add the exponents. So 3 plus 6 is exponent 9. Now we have a small problem here. The problem is that the decimal is not where it needs to be. So we're going to move that decimal one place to the left, and 49 becomes 4.9. But in the process of doing that, we're going to have to change our exponent. When we shift the decimal to the left, the exponent grows by a factor of 1. So we're moving it one decimal, the exponent grows by 1. All right? So the best answer is in the box. All right, now we've got some negative numbers. Just remember, 1 times 1 is 1, so our coefficients are going to be 1. And now we're going to do 8 plus negative 5. So we could think of it as 1 times 10, and then 8 plus negative 5 is 3. So we can think of it as 1 times 10 to the 3, or just 10 to the 3, either of which is an appropriate answer. All right, last one for multiplication, and then we'll move on to division. 6 times 9, I believe, is 54. Negative 3 plus negative 5. Be careful. Negative 3 plus negative 5 is negative 8. Now remember, we got to move that decimal one position. So we're going to call it 5.4. And when we do that, the exponent grows. So we moved it one position. That exponent is going to grow by 1, and it's going to grow from negative 8 to negative 7. Remember, negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. So best answer is there in the box. So we get to division, and it's exactly the opposite. We are going to divide the coefficients, and then we are going to subtract the exponents. All right, so 9.6 divided by 1.6. I think I'm going to need a calculator for this one, but I can do it in my head. At least I can do the exponents in my head. So 9.6 divided by 1.6 is exactly 6. So my coefficient, 9.6 divided by 1.6 is 6. Okay, and then remember, when we multiplied, we added the exponents, but when we divide, we're going to subtract the exponents. So exponent 7 minus exponent 4 is exponent 3. So 6 times 10 to the 3. Okay, next one. Just assume the coefficients to be 1. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. Okay, now we're going to subtract the exponents. Okay, 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So we could write it as 1 times 10 to the negative 1, or we can just write it as 10 to the negative 1. All right, next problem. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Final answer, 1 times 10 to the negative 3. All right, remember, if there's no coefficient, just assume it to be 1. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. Now we're going to subtract the exponents. Be careful, guys. 8 minus negative 5. 8 minus negative 5 is 13. So 1 times 10 to the 13th power, or you could just say 10 to the 13th power, either of which is completely appropriate. All right, next problem. 6 divided by 8 is numerically 0.75. Okay, so we divided the coefficients, 6 divided by 8. Now we're going to subtract the exponents. Negative 3 minus negative 5. Negative 3 minus negative 5. Isn't that the same as negative 3 plus 5? So the answer would be 2. Problem is, our decimal is not in the right position. So we're going to shift that decimal to the right one position, and our exponent is going to shrink by 1. So 7.5 times 10 to the 1. All right, hope you guys get these. Remember, you may use a calculator. If you want to put a number into scientific notation using a calculator, I'll give you an example of this one, 1.6. You can do 1.60. Remember, there's that second button. EE stands for enter exponent 4. There is no need to hit the times 10 button. So if you want to put it into your calculator using the EE button, you don't need to use parentheses. 1.60, second button, enter exponent 4. Don't use the 10 if you're using your calculator. All right, guys, I miss you. I know we're in week 2 of quarantine at home. Hopefully I'll get to see you guys after spring break. But just remember, I miss you guys. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.